Welcome to Own or Disown, where tech decisions are made easy.
Hi, this is Stephen from Own or Disown. Now, if you're in the market for a very portable gaming 2-in-1 laptop that can turn into a very capable desktop, then look no further than the ASUS Flow X13. Now, as far as I know, it hasn't been updated from the 2023 model that I review here, but it remains, in my opinion, best in class, especially because it has an eGPU support via its XG mobile interface that allows you to use up to 150 watt mobile RTX 4090 oh, I can't even speak. Plethora. With a lot of connections you would use while at a desk, such as a Gigabit Ethernet, HDMI 2.1, DisplayPort 1.4 supporting G-Sync, 3 USB Type A's, a USB-C and an SD card reader. Now, my review unit was kindly supplied by Hidevolution, where you can purchase the standard 1200p model that uses the integrated 7080M graphics for $1,419. The RTX 4060 model costs $1,649, or my RTX 4070 model for $2,499. Now, a big advantage for buying from Hidevolution is that they can replace the GPU and offer an option to increase the size of the SSD. But before we jump into that review, a quick word from today's sponsor, Anker, a leader in mobile charging accessories. Now, they sent me their 15-watt pocket-sized 3-in-1 charger and a 6-foot braided USB cable that had a very handy rubber cable tie. The 15-watt 3-in-1 charger is part of their Anker MagGo lineup, and a link is provided in the description. Now, if you use the coupon code, which I put here, you will get an exclusive 15% off. Now, in the box, you get a power brick. You get a 5-foot USB-C cable with a space-saving right-angle connector at one end. You get a quick start guide, and you get the foldable 3-in-1 charger. Now, the beauty about this charger is that it can charge your MagSafe iPhone. You can also charge your Apple AirPods and Apple Watch all at the same time. Now, this saves on cables and saves on buying 3 separate wireless chargers. It makes for a much cleaner setup on your desk. Plus, it folds up into the size of a pack of cards for easy storage whilst you are travelling. Now, I, for one, am tired of having a tangle of wires from all of my chargers, so this solution is awesome. Now, it can charge your iPhone using up to 15 watts. That's twice as fast as the standard 7.5 watt wireless chargers. You can charge your AirPods and your watch up to 5 watts. And this enables the Apple Watch Series 9 to get a 47% boost in only 30 minutes. Now, one feature I really like is that since it uses the MagSafe connector for the phone, it serves as a phone stand as well. And this makes it great to hold video calls and not drain your battery. It is solidly built and it's also white, so it does blend in well with the other Apple products you might have. And it's also easy to keep clean. You can also charge your phone using a magnetic phone case that is no thicker than 2.5mm. It does have good air vents, which does help in aid the heat dissipation, and it has all the necessary safety certifications. Now, my daughter was stoked when I showed her this, and I'm sure you will be too. Now, without a doubt, my Flow X13 at $2,500 is expensive. Now, the specs of my unit is the Ryzen 9 7940HS CPU. Now, this has 8 cores and 16 threads with a base clock of 4 GHz with a single core boost up to 5.2 GHz. And it has a 45 watt TDP, but it can hit up to 65 watts for a short time and up to a sustained PL1 up to 60 watts in turbo mode. We saw an 8% boost in performance between turbo and performance mode using Blender, just slightly behind the Legion Slim 5. In Cinebench R23, it scored 16,445 points in the multi-core test, which is about the same as an i5-13450HX, which has 20 threads and a typically higher TDP. And the single core performance is the same as the 12800HX, which is fantastic. Now, using Handbrake to encode a 4GB M2TS file to 1080p, the Flow X13 took just over 11 minutes and was even faster than the 13900H in the MSI Katana. So yeah, the Flow X13 is not held back with its CPU performance. It is more than capable to handle the workloads you are more than likely to throw at it. And for the GPU, this unit has a 60 watt RTX 4070. That is 45 watts plus 15 watts via dynamic boost, and it also has 8 GB of VRAM. The panel is a 13.4 inch 165Hz 2560 by 1600 with a white to black response time of 6.4 milliseconds. It's an IPS level display with 100% of sRGB and 95% of DCI P3 coverage, and has a peak brightness of 445 nits. It supports advanced Optimus and G-Sync, which will automatically switch on when you load a game. Now, it is a very nice panel. It's very bright, it's vibrant and sharp because of its high pixel density. It has 16 GB of low-powered DDR5 6400 MHz RAM that is soldered on, which can be configured up to 32 GB. At least it is fast RAM. You also get 1 terabyte of storage. It's a small 2230 format. I think for $2,500, which my unit costs, they should have included a larger SSD, as there is only the one slot. Even more reason why, get it from HID and they can put that 2 terabyte one in. For cooling, it uses 2 heat pipes, 2 arc flow fans that have tapered tips to maximize airflow with minimal fan noise, and 3 heat sinks with liquid metal on the CPU. The fans also have anti-dust tunnels, which does a great job of keeping the fans dust-free. Thermals were very good. Here is Far Cry 6 using the various mode presets along with their respective fan noises. At the top is turbo mode, and the 4070 is at 73 degrees. Up to 58 watts, whilst the 7940 HS is at 70 degrees and 13 watts, with a frame rate of about 50 FPS. The fan noise is 54 decibels. Switching to ultimate mode, the GPU and the CPU are both 2 to 3 degrees cooler, as less watts are pushed to the CPU. Fan noise is still fairly loud at 52 decibels, and the frame rate is slightly faster at 53. Now in manual mode, with the CPU overclocked by 200 MHz, the 4070 is at 79 degrees and 55 watts. So yeah, it's a little bit hotter. Whilst the 7940 HS CPU is also hotter at 76 degrees and 14 watts, with a frame rate of 54. The fan noise is a respectable 45 decibels. So in this mode, the extra speed of the GPU causes a higher temperature for the CPU too, no doubt because of the shared heat pipe design. But to be fair, it is still very cool for such a small machine. Performance mode sees the GPU watts drop to 43 and its temperature drop to 69 degrees, whilst the CPU remains cool at 67 degrees and 13 watts. The cooler GPU helps to cool the CPU because of that shared heat pipes. The frame rate drops to 45, however, so some 16% less than we see in manual mode. However, the fan noise is now only 48 decibels, so is more palatable if you don't use headphones. Finally, we have silent mode, which drops the fan noise to 45 decibels, as the GPU power drops to 37 watts and the thermals are very good, and we still get a decent 43 FPS. So for me, manual mode is the best because you can overclock the GPU, you can choose your own thermal target limit up to 87 degrees, and make your own fan curve, so to have a great frame rate. You have good thermals with the same fan noise as silent mode. Well, it's great that ASUS gives you this much flexibility. Now, I found the speakers to be pretty good actually, certainly plenty loud. It supports Dolby Atmos and Virtual 5.1.2 surround. I like how the Flow X13 has 3 microphone modes using its 3 mics. You have cardioid mode that picks up the audio directly in front of you. You got stereo mode, which uses the right and left channels, and you have omnidirectional mode, which picks up audio from all the directions, which is perfect if you have a group conference call going. The webcam is 1080p and it supports Windows Hello. Now on the left hand side you have the XG mobile port, which supports USB 3.2 Gen 2 Type-C. You also get a micro SD card 4.0, HDMI 2.1 and a 3.5mm combo headphone jack. And on the right you get a USB 3.2 Gen 2 Type-C with DisplayPort 1.4 and power delivery, but this is not supported in Germany for some reason. Now you also get a USB 3.2 Gen 2 Type-A and the power button. The Flow X13 charges by USB-C, which is good in that it allows for a much smaller power brick, which is about 2 inches square and it's 130 watts. Now I also found the keys to be pretty decent. They have a small 0.2mm curve around the edges and a good 1.7mm of key travel. Plus they have N key rollover, so all of your key presses will be registered. There's no RGB key lighting, it is white only. I'm okay with this as it's a type of laptop you'll use at work or school. There are 4 buttons at the top that open the Armoury Crate software, mute the microphone and change the volume up and down. And pressing the FN and the 5 key allows you to change the performance modes on the fly. You get an all metal build and fit and finish is excellent. You get a stripe pattern on the deck and this extends to both the underneath and the keyboard deck. The one-piece trackpad is made of plastic and it works well. The battery is 75 watt hours and it gave me 679 minutes or 11.5 hours of runtime, which is awesome. And it's nearly 5 hours longer than the MSI Stealth 14 Studio. Amazing. Now here's a look at some game benchmarks, including tests for the RTX 4090 XG Mobile. In Assassin's Creed Valhalla, ultra high settings, 1440p, it was about 10% faster than the Razer Blade 14 with its 3070 Ti. Now attached to XG Mobile, you even beat the RTX 4080 in the Mech 17 GP2, and that's no slouch. But to be able to get this type of performance when seated at your desk, and then have the amazing portability and battery life when on the go, this is definitely great. So do I recommend the Flow X13? Yeah, most definitely, but there's one big caveat. It is expensive, and if you want to use the XG Mobile for the 4090 model there is $2,000, and even the older 3080 model is $1,500. Now, it is the perfect laptop for someone like myself who was on the road doing sales calls. You get the 2-in-1 functionality with pen support. You get best-in-class battery life. You get a great microphone and a webcam for Zoom meetings. You also get good speakers for watching movies or playing games, especially with a good fan control and that low fan noise. I also think the thermals are very good and the screen is really nice. Now granted, for gaming I do prefer a larger screen personally, but you can hook it up to an external monitor and still get G-Sync. Now if you have the funds, getting the XG Mobile definitely expands the system nicely. And for long gaming sessions, the thermals will be great, as the XG Mobile handles its own cooling and it's got its own power source. The Flow X13 will just be using its CPU in that case. Now I'm not a fan of solid RAM, but this is a small system, so I'll cut it some slack. Now let me know in the comments below what you think of it. I'd like to thank you for watching. Bye now.